an alert community member that has led to the arrest of Mr. Sayre in this case. So I must thank our community members for the support.
That was Police Chief Ed Ressler at a press conference yesterday explaining exactly how that prisoner was caught after a manhunt that really captivated the area. We covered it extensively yesterday morning, as well as did Paul Wagner, Fox 5 reporter, who covers police, fire courts, and all these things in the nation's capital for quite some time now. Paul Wagner, thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
What a morning it was yesterday. First of all, why don't we work backwards here? Talk to me about how they found this guy. You just heard the police chief say it was an alert community member. Where he was and where the manhunt was going on at the time, they found him in a completely different area.
Yeah, quite a ways away. I was in Annandale. We were following the FBI hostage rescue team as they were driving through the neighborhood looking for the second car that had been carjacked when we suddenly got word that they had found him over off Pennsylvania Avenue in southeast Washington. So we immediately headed over that direction. What we understand is that he apparently drove that second vehicle onto Capitol Hill, where he abandoned the vehicle, and then apparently got onto a Metro bus. Where he got the money to get onto the bus is still in question at this point, and then jumps off near Minnesota Avenue. Now, we understand that it was someone who had access to social media and saw his photograph and recognized him, and then immediately called 911. And D.C. Police, 6 district officers quickly swarmed the area and found him right outside of a convenience store there off of Minnesota and Pennsylvania.
Yeah, let's go back to, though, where it started at the hospital. Because the big question I have is, this guy was supposed to be in shackles. It's not been made clear to me, or I haven't heard anybody explain in a definitive way how it was that this guy, who's supposed to be in shackles, was able to overtake the female guard. If he was in shackles, how would that be possible?
It's a very good question, and I had the same question. And I was in court yesterday, and the U.S. Marshal was inside the courtroom when Asai came in, and immediately thereafter I grabbed him and I said, "Are you standing by the statement that he was handcuffed and shackled at the time that he overpowered this guard?" And he said, "Yes, I am standing by that statement." So what we know is that it was just this one officer who was in the hospital room with Asai. The marshal said he was on the gurney, shackled and in cuffs, and somehow overpowered her and took her weapon.
That's not possible. I don't understand that.
Yeah, we all have the same question. That's why I asked him again, because he said that at the news conference, and I wanted to question him a second time. Are you sure that that's the way this took place? And he stood by his statement. He said, absolutely, he was shackled and handcuffed.
Here is U.S. Marshal Bobby Matheson at the presser.
Under observation by the 2 contract security officers, the prisoner overpowered the female contract security officer, managed to get her weapon from her, confronted the male security officer. One shot was fired by the male security officer.
So, I mean, one can only assume, and I guess there's no, we shouldn't jump to conclusions, but somehow in overpowering the one officer, he got the key that unlocked his shackles, I guess. I mean,
you could jump to that conclusion. Yeah. They're going to investigate this and then try and understand how this happened. But I'm sure that they have some idea on what happened now after talking to the guards. Whether or not that did occur, whether or not he was able to get the key from her and get those cuffs and shackles off. Well, so there's still more to come on this, and still lots of questions about how this is all being handled.
So we do have some answers on what happened after that, after he got loose and got away from the security guards. If you could quickly sort of walk us through the amazing chain of events that led him to that Metro bus and how he got out of the hospital, how he hid in a car, Paul Wagner.
Sure. He took the guard's gun. He was barefoot in just his hospital gown and ran down a back stairwell. Now, what happened between then and when he got into the trunk of a car, we're not quite sure, but it was quite some time. What we understand from the police is that he got into the trunk of a car in the neighborhood around the hospital there, and he hid in that trunk. And when the owner of the vehicle came out to go to work and drove off, he apparently, using his feet, tried to break through the back seat. And that, of course, frightened the heck out of this
well, I can only imagine, right.
Who then crashed the vehicle. At that point, this driver then jumps out, and according to a witness who saw this, said she was screaming bloody murder. Asahi then drives off in this vehicle. He then carjacks a second vehicle, by the way, leaving the weapon behind on the passenger seat of the first carjacked vehicle, and then drives off in the second one. Now, I was listening to the police channels at that time, and the police had set up a wide perimeter after hearing about it, and they had a helicopter. They had several helicopters up, plus a lot of reporters and people in the area looking out. And yet that car was able to get out of that perimeter and head into the District of Columbia.
The other question that is being raised is about the use of private security to handle a federal prisoner. What have you found out about that? I mean, this is very common apparently, but what do we know about the training of these private guards?
We don't know anything about the training at this point. I can tell you, though, that it's not unusual for the Marshal Service to do this. If you go into a courthouse, court security, at any federal courthouse, you're going to see not U.S. Marshals, but court security officers who are armed. I know that at their headquarters in Crystal City, they use private security. The Marshals provide the weapons to the private security, but they are not U.S. Marshals who are at the doors there. So this is common for the Marshals to do this. And so it's the court security officers, I know for a fact, because I know many of them, when you go in, these are former police officers who have retired and have come back to work, and they're paid by the security company to work the doors at the courthouses. So it's very common to have private security by the U.S. Marshals.
So now, is there going to be some sort of re-examination of that practice? I mean, it seems amazing to me that the second the guy gets out of a high-security situation, like in a jail or in a prison, and goes into a minimal security situation like a hospital, it's at that point that the professional marshals and people who are, you know, accountable to the people and to the government, they then walk away and a private security firm picks up. You would think that's when you would want the more intense oversight.
Well, the U.S. Marshals said yesterday that they are going to examine their protocols and take another look at this. We know that when Asahi overpowered the guard, she was alone. But there were two supposed to be there. Also, let me also tell you this: this is not uncommon that prisoners are taken to hospitals. It happens all the time. D.C. police officers generally have to guard people that are taken to hospitals. So this is not an uncommon occurrence. It happens every single day. So it's just that this happened on a very, very public level.
And completely unrelated to any of this was that wild chase out there yesterday we all saw on television. That was really something.
That was crazy, wasn't it? Yeah. The video of it was just the fact that the helicopter was overhead and seeing it was absolutely amazing. But you got to praise the police officers for what they did in getting that vehicle to stop so quickly. And getting that person out of the car. But right in the middle of that person trying to run from the police picked the wrong time.
Wrong day.
Place.
That's right. Don't mess with the police on that particular day.
No, do not.
All right, Paul, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Always appreciated.